we're early. Sometimes it's good to be early. But our show starts at a specific time. You should remember that. Let's get started then, shall we?
Dillon, I don't give a what you think about a co-host and freshen up my show.
It might not be flashy, but sometimes you just got to toss another person to make a statement.
My show's about the people's podcast. Everyone has a voice. I don't need a co-host. Go listen to one of the other 5,000 shows with a co-host because they don't have a mouth like the big guy.
Opie, are you a career killer with Tim Sabian, yourself, and many others?
Be myself. Never had real issues with those people. They just understood that I was a different bird. The rest of them, though, I'm like, oh, shut up. I'm paying your salary because the ratings are so good, so shut up.
Hey,
Live from
Somewhere.
it's
Dillon.
Good whatever to you, whenever you are watching this first episode of the new year of co-host auditions. I am your co-host, Dillon. We got a little sneak peek at Ms. Size Doesn't Matter the Clown. She will be coming up later. But today's host is Chris Jericho. He has gotten himself into controversy, and I do have a strategy on this channel. When someone gets into controversy, let's see if we can siphon some of those views and get a couple of new fans. And that has been what it's been. 2,000 views, 2 new subscribers. So just snailing our way towards monetization here on the Dillon from Somewhere channel. Thank you all for joining. The summer of George is over. We crawled our way through the autumn of mopery. It's time to start doing things again. And Chris Jericho, he has certainly been up to a lot of things. And apparently, we are not allowed to know about all of those things. Brian Hausman, Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling, nice little pun there, Mr. House Man, he has alluded to Chris Jericho having some NDAs into place. Oh, and look at me. I did not update my background. I am late even for TBS time, and I've got the wrong show's background. But we are getting over the autumn of mopery, so that is to be expected every now and then. Oh, and if Jericho's going to have his name there the whole time, I guess I should as well. And Chris Jericho was actually on the run of his lifetime at the beginning of All Elite Wrestling in 2019. And then a few months into 2020, he started with his Demo God. I found that very cringe-inducing. And over there at All Elite Wrestling, they don't seem to take constructive criticism well. What they are doing are the greatest thing, and if you don't like it, get the fuck out of here. In fact, 40-year-old man-child Tony Khan and his cronies drove Girl on Film. She had a wrestling channel where she was critical of him. A late teens, early 20s girl, they drove off the internet in hordes by bullying her. So very well done, 40-year-old man-child Tony Khan being unable to take constructive criticism, just as Chris Jericho hasn't. A lot of his stuff has looked awful. And he is just like, well, of course I fell on boxes off the top of a cage. What was I supposed to do? Well, if it looks like shit, you don't do the spot, is what you do, Mr. Jericho. But I have given him quite the long intro, and I am late myself. So let's get into this last episode of the Saturday Night Special. He started it with him singing Saturday Night Special. He is really proud of his singing, is Chris Jericho. He loves his singing. And the guys from Stuck Mojo, they know a cash cow when they saw it. They dropped the Stuck Mojo and they joined him as Fozzy. So here is, I'm glad I previewed this. I have a second one ready. I don't know how long we're going to be able to stick with this gimmick of Chris Jericho plugging, I believe it's his third book, The Official List of Jericho. And that it's very much like Howard Stern's third book, Howard Stern Comes Again, where he just wrote the interviews, just he had interviews and had someone write them down and put them in a book. Chris Jericho is a big fucking nerd and wrote down every single match he ever had, and that's his third book. Is he just documents every single match he has ever had and says something about it. And I don't know if I would be that nerdy. As an extra, I actually didn't keep track of all the shows I was in. I am disappointed in myself that I didn't keep a list of Jericho type list of all the shows I was in, because I fucking forget a lot of them. But here he is plugging his book. I give you the floor, Mr. Jericho.
Today, I'm doing the Saturday Night Special because we are in Jacksonville. Fozzy had a show in Jacksonville tonight, which was great at the Taco Fest, which I thought was going to be kind of like a street festival, but it was actually just like a real cool rock and roll type vibe. So we actually had about 3,000 people watching the show for the whole set. And then, of course, we played Cadott, Wisconsin the other day, where we had about 15,000 people. And then we sold out Iowa City, Wildwood. So it's been a great 3 days of getting back on the road with Fozzy.
So 2 years ago, AEW apparently was indeed selling out arenas. They haven't been doing that lately, and they have not modified their strategy to go to arenas which they can actually fill up. So that's one thing. I love a good business strategy. It drives me up a fucking wall that they are losing money on these 20, 30,000 seat arenas by only filling it up just a little bit. Time to get to the 5,000 seat arenas, fellas. And even that, it seems like you're not filling up in those 20, 30,000 seat arenas.
And here we are back again. I had the night to relax, so I thought it was perfect. We had such a huge response to the complete list of Jericho when we did it a couple weeks ago.
The cover of his book looks like a cover of a DVD, but I don't know, whatever sells.
And it's the same.
You trick some of those foolish wrestling fans. All right, I've got the DVD of the complete list of Jericho. It's a book. There's reading, you fool.
Tonight, anybody that orders the book during this show will get it autographed, signed personally to you from me. You got to buy it during this show. We're keeping track of the times and all that stuff. And you buy that by going to Jericho30.com. And a lot of people that ordered last time were like, well, I got my book, but it wasn't signed. Well, the reason why is we are doing what's called a book plate. It's a pretty commonplace thing in publishing. I did it many times for all the other books that I've done.
Okay, you're getting in the weeds here. Let's go ahead and jump ahead a little bit of why you fucked up signing your own book before sending it out. Don't care. Dan Ninian recorded all his sets, says Dayla. And that is something that you want to do as a stand-up comedian, is record your sets and learn from them. What a character that Dan Ninian is. Does he have a solo podcast? I don't think that would get as many views as some of these episodes, but that is a fascinating fellow who would call around to comedy clubs and be like, yeah, I'm the regular opener. I forget who it was for. I'm sure a lot of my viewers are comedy fans. Maybe you recall who we would call the comedy clubs. Like, yeah, I'm his regular opener. And then they would get to these clubs. This guy's opening for me a lot. Yeah, because he was sort of a con man in getting himself in there. But one of the big reasons Isaac Walmart is aware of why I'm doing this Chris Jericho episode right now, Kylie Ray is a wrestler that there are rumors abound that Chris Jericho has an NDA with. One of the ones that Houseman talked about, Jericho did not confirm nor deny. He just changed the subject. But she seems to be wanting to leap and is kind of scared. Well, she has her own mental problems. We won't dwell on her for too long, but she was driven out of the wrestling industry, and it seems that Houseman might know that Jericho had something to do with that.
The publisher said, the guy that I asked after 4 New York Times bestselling books said, it'll never work. It's too much of a niche product. And I was like, well, you don't know my fans. We're all about the niche. And so I said, niche. Fuck it. I'll release it myself. Which
I know both are acceptable, niche or niche. I say niche.
I did. And literally the first printing is almost sold out.
It's really hitting that T.
Crazy these have been selling. So
he's the complete opposite of Carl Hamburger.
Bought them. Hope you're enjoying them. And tonight we're going to tell stories about the book. And like I said, every single match.
I can't even say that wrong. I can't even say that word wrong that Carl Hamburger does. it takes such effort to say that word wrong, and Carl Hamburger does it every time. Exactchi. That's what I'm thinking of. Exactchi. Literally. He's kind of doing the inverse. Maybe he had some problems with literally, as our buddy Carl did with exactchi.
Recorded in here. So I'll have you guys pick some numbers, and then I'll just open it up to whatever number match it is, and we'll discuss and tell some stories and have some fun. So like I said, anybody who buys this book at Jericho30.com over the next hour or so will get it signed. So that's kind of the rule. So so it's been a great week.
The rule of Jericho.
We got back.
If you don't touch the PP, if you don't like touching the PP, here's a bunch of money. Don't tell anybody. If you like touching the PP, tell a lot of people, because it does seem like he has an open relationship with his wife, which I approve. I mean, he's on the road, both in wrestling and in as a pretend rock star. So it does make sense that they would have a deal in place of like, all right, I'm going to have my road ladies. You pick a local man, and or pick many local men. When I'm not around and you're not around, let's do our thing, lady.
Playing with Fozzy, which was awesome. We played a new song. Well, we played Sane, which is our new song, which you can see the video for. We played another new song that no one has.
No one has heard many of the songs you have released on Fozzy either. The theme song that he has, Judas, that's a solid song. It might be Fozzy's best song. Big fan of that one until it wore out its welcome. But Judas, bueno. A lot of the rest of their catalog, skippable.
Money's worth. Once again, if you want to be a part of that, go to Jericho30.com and buy it within the next hour or so. So Ken is just going right for it. Ken Kioski says, I want to hear about match 666. Would that be the most evil match that I had? Wouldn't you freak out if I actually wrestled Damien 666?
The match of the beast.
Let's go see it. It's a good place to start. So as you can see, every single match that I've ever had, I kept a record of it, and it's all
nerd. But being a nerd in 2023 is cool. And I myself am quite the nerd. So you are amongst good company, you fucking nerd.
And transposed into this. It originally looked like this. That's the actual binder with the actual pieces of paper with the writing on it of the matches that I had. So Alex Marvez took them off these pages, put them into this book. And of course, we have all the top 10 lists.
Alex Marvez is one of Tony Khan's goons. They did not practice doing commentary before the first all in, all out, Double or Nothing pay-per-view. I was at that in Vegas. So Marvez did not ruin that for me. I'm still getting used to saying 2024. I'm trying to latch on to still being in my mid-30s. I'm on the outer edges of mid-30s. Come September, I cannot deny being in my late 30s anymore when I become 38. 37, yeah, I'm in my late 30s, but I am hanging on to those mid-30s. So the match of the beast, 666, was it against Relic, Killer spelled backwards?
Lists and rare pictures and all that other stuff, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So here we are. Match number 666, very evil. That was February 17th, 1997, against Jeff Jarrett.
Oh, I did not stop finishing. Finishing. I didn't finish on him. I didn't finish shitting on Alex Marvez. They should have rehearsed him for doing commentary because he had no idea what the fuck he was doing. And even though you're a fan, you might not be the greatest commentator. And luckily, I did not hear him ruin the pay-per-view for me. I was in the audience.
Right, and it was in Tampa, Florida.
JEFF. JARRETT. Someone who was a solid mid-carder. I do enjoy listening to his My World podcast. One of, what is it, 3086 that Conrad Thompson has on his network. Take it down a notch, Conrad. You had a solid number of podcasts there, and it's become too many, Conrad. But Jeff Jarrett, solid mid-carder as a main eventer. Actually, him winning the TNA world title at some point, like 2004, 2005, like before a lot of people got onto the Impact Wrestling train, him winning the title was like, it was like a big multi-man match where it was like 7 people or something. I was like, anyone but Jericho wins, but Jarrett wins. I am going to keep watching TNA Impact Wrestling, and Jarrett won. It's understandable. He owns the company. He can trust himself, but you put it on yourself too many fucking times.
And I won with a roll up, which is huge to beat Jeff. That's pretty cool. In front of
a roll up, the finish of the year in AEW. The Tony Khan, Booker of the Year, doesn't like doing count out or disqualification finishes, but we need a fucked finish, so a roll up it is. The Booker of the Year doesn't realize that the variety of the count out and DQ actually adds, not detracts from the wrestling product. Early on in AEW, they did have a couple of matches that went to a time limit draw, but they quickly forgot about that and stopped paying attention to that.
In front of a crowd of 5,000 people, the payoff was $1,107, which is really good. And that reason for that is because I was making weekly money at that point. I was probably making, I don't know, I guess it would be, I was working, I don't know, probably maybe $3,000 a week or something like that. Maybe $4,000 a week. It's probably around $4,000 a week. So that would explain the 1,100 there. And
the roll up is a quick pin, just something that pretty much exactly as it sounds. You trip the guy over backwards and roll up his legs. That is a roll up. For those who don't go down the wrestling hole as far as I have.
And I gave it 2.5 stars. And I remember it was
he rates his own matches. but actually, this is what makes Jim Cornette's podcast very entertaining. He has very detailed records of what he did on the road and the money that he made. So that is a fascinating thing that Jericho just didn't do much else with. He just published that list instead of going back to it. And I really don't listen to Jericho's podcast. And this one is 2 years old. He still has a running podcast, but he has guests on it. And for the format of this show to be a solid co-host, I do want the host to be solo. And look how much time I'm taking up by just blathering on. Wouldn't I be a solid right-hand man to you, Chris Jericho? Is that the one that touches the women that have the NDA, the right hand? Or do you use the left, Jericho?
We had a match. A Nitro was kind of live from the Tampa Fairgrounds. So we all changed kind of in, I guess you'd say like motorhomes and stuff like that. And I never met Jeff before. And it was first night in. And for some reason, there must have been a distraction finish or something like that. Because the level that I was at in February of 1997, Jeff Jarrett was a completely much bigger star than me. So if I was beating Jeff Jarrett, there was a reason behind it. And it wasn't because they wanted me to get a big push. That's for sure. So.
He was a white meat good guy. I bet it was more like a distraction or something. That's often how they lead up to the roll-up finish in wrestling, is the slip on a banana peel finish, as they say. They want the guy to lose, but they don't want him to look bad in losing. So he slips on a banana peel, he's distracted, and the other guy rolls him up.
Let's see what we got here. Once again, guys, these matches go by so fast that I'm trying to find. I had a really good one here, but I might have lost it already. After the 666, somebody wanted to
bookmarks, Jericho. Bookmark your own book.
See match number 777. So
lucky match from the match of the beast.
Questions went by so fast with all the people that are on here.
Oh, I see.
So whoever asked, there it is. I found it. Laurie. I met Laurie before. What was your 777?
Laurie, that is not a flattering pick. Looks like you're trying to do the duck face there, Laurie, but another pick, Laurie. Swing and a miss.
7 match. So we went from the most satanic match to the most Christian match. So I wonder, maybe I work Shawn Michaels in this one. I don't know. And as we go through it, we find, look at this. Here's a WCW booking sheet from September of 1997. And all those...
I was going to say 111 matches later, you still got to be in WCW. It's not like nowadays where they work like twice a week because the executive vice presidents are lazy wrestlers who don't actually want to wrestle and book it so they don't have to work that often.
Filled
and they still don't show up.
Was my schedule. So that month I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days off and 22 days on. So quite busy. And then I go through Excalibur's top 10 Jericho matches. We got a lot of
Okay, I'm glad I pulled a second video. You are boring me with this already. I have given you a lot of banter as your co-host, and already just 2 matches in of talking of your favorite matches, I am getting a little bored of this topic, which goes, I believe, the entire fucking episode.
A lot of
Very happy that I previewed this to realize, oh, I don't think I can do this for an hour. Let's get another Jericho solo on deck, because this will be a bit grating if it's for the entire hour.
kind of broadcasters and journalists to give their favorite Jericho moments.
Broadcasters. That's who's accusing you now, Jericho, like Kylie Ray.
So let's see. Match number 777. Okay. Wow. This is the WCW years. November 3rd, 1997. And that was against Scott Hall. And once again, I won with a small package.
Against. He lost his Canadian against. How about that? Yeah. Well, once again, I think he was being used at that time to be the guy who gets the bigger stars to have a fucked finish, to slip on a banana peel. Chris Jericho is the banana peel that they slipped on to get these losses to these big stars and make them look foolish when one of their main adversaries came out and distracted them.
I won back in February with a roll up, and I won now in November with a small package. That was in Philadelphia. Crowd was 12,000. Payoff was 800.
Small package roll up. It's basically the same thing, same idea. But the small package, you can fuck up. The roll up, you really can't fuck up.
$66. So I probably worked less matches or more matches that week. And I gave that match 3 stars. But think about that, February. So March, April, May, June, July.
It does
August,
make
September,
sense.
October.
It does make sense that Chris Jericho is rating his matches, trying to, it's going back and watching your own set, like Dan Ninian, the insane person, actually doing that thing correctly. You want to judge and get better, but it does just seem douche chilly coming from him in this matter.
So in 9 months, I had 111 matches. So that's over 10 matches a month. That was pretty much kind of the schedule, I guess, that we had at that point in time. So anyways, and the match with Scott Hall, I've got to tell you about the match. So this was a match that I was having, and I think it was supposed to be just a get-over match for Scott, and that means that he's just going to beat anybody. We'll put Jericho in there. I was kind of the nameless, faceless, hot young upstart babyface at the time. And Scott was going to go over, and Scott was like, why am I just beating this guy? Like, everyone expects him to beat me.
Once again, I can't take my eyes off Lori's face. She's doing the duck face, but she's puffing her cheeks out. So doing the duck face, bueno. Puffing the cheeks out with the duck face, no bueno. Laurie, you need duck face lessons. And that was your lesson 1 on the duck face.
Beat me. Why doesn't he beat me? And then, it'll be a big surprise. So the finish was, I think it was a small package, like I said, and I had to actually show him how to do a small package. He wasn't quite too sure how to do that move. And I guess, a 6'8" giant guy probably doesn't get a lot of small packages in his career.
Razor fucking Ramon didn't know how to do a small package in 1998? Oh, and also that type of slip on a banana peel finish, that fucked finish, became more prominent in the 90s and today, whereas you would do countouts and disqualifications, which the marks don't like. And the markiest mark of all marks, Tony Khan, really hates doing it in his match. I believe you can count on one hand all the disqualifications and countouts.
Career. So I had to show him how to do a small package in the dressing room. And then we had the match. And then after I beat him, then he gave me 3 razor's edges, like just completely annihilated me. And then I think Lex Luger ran out and someone else ran out. I think it was like maybe like, I don't know, Nash and Hall and Luger and somebody or whatever it was. And I was thinking, well, this is perfect. So next week it'll be a tag match, Luger and Jericho versus Hall and whoever it was that
but
ran
it wasn't,
out.
was it
as big as Nash? It was maybe a Norton or a Bagwell or something like that. And I went to Kevin Sullivan.
Norton, not as tall, but Norton, wide motherfucker.
So does this mean that we're having a tag match next week? Like, it makes perfect sense. He goes, yeah, it does make perfect sense. We thought about it, but we're not doing it. And I was like, okay. And
fans of WCW in the late 90s will remember that their matches, their main events, a lot of them were very boring because they did end. So many ended like that, of just everyone from the faction running out and ding, ding, ding. They did the ding, ding, ding on the bell when chaos happened just a little too much, and that also became annoying. The repetitive finish of everyone in the faction hit the ring and the ding, 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 wait 15 seconds, ding, 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 a little much.
So that's the story with that. Let's see. Mortimer Fort, do you still keep track of your matches? Are you over it now that you've made this book? No, absolutely not. I'm not over. You never get over it. 30 years, I kept track of all these matches. And even when for a while I stopped writing them down because I knew that you could see them all at cagematch.com. I think it's called cagematch.com. So I was able to just get them from there, but that's only the ones over the last 2 or 3 years. But
did you accept the star rating that cagematch.com gave you, or did you erase their what they felt your star rating was and put your own star rating?
October 7th, 2020 is the last match in here. It's my 2,722nd match. So there's 2,722 matches in here. And since then, I've probably had another dozen matches, and I've kept track of those ones as well. So,
so 2,700 matches over what you started in 92, from 92 to 2020. And let's go ahead and go on to the next video. I have had enough of this plugging of his book, of just going over the matches that he had. And let's go ahead and knock out the shill segment, where when I ask people to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, you are more likely to do so. So even though this is a douche chilly moment for me to physically ask you to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to know when we are going live, we will be changing our time soon, because 11:30 a.m. Eastern was chosen specifically to not be in the same time as Patrick Melton. And there's a lot of crossover viewers that I have with him. He is the bigger of the broadcasters. So I can be a bigger one one day too. If you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Dillon from somewhere at gmail.com for inquiries. If you would like to be on the show, a co-host to my show where I'm the actual host, so on, so forth. Script doctoring. I've always got to push that. I've actually got to put up the script that I doctored. It's called, I gave it the name The Steinberg Sisters. The original name was Bluish, a attempted play on words. That guy loved plays on words. He liked to force puns, even though they were not actual puns. You can all take guess of what bluish meant. That you do have a hint in the fact that I renamed it the Steinberg Sisters, but I do enjoy that. And I do have to start leaning into that in 2023, getting back to my passion of writing. I don't know if I'll go back to the passion of acting one of these days. Maybe I can lean into the writing, which has been a passion of mine longer than performing is. So I'm a bit more bashful to put myself out there for that passion, because I know a lot of animators in Los Angeles that lost their passion for drawing and animation because they did it for a living. And that industry is a motherfucker. They treat a lot of the companies treat those people like fucking garbage. But now we are back to Chris Jericho, and hopefully he's just not listing off his matches, because I had enough of that gimmick.
Ibo and myself, and we do that every Thursday at 9 p.m. And we usually tape it for YouTube and Facebook.
720p. He is doing this from a hotel room, so that is forgivable. I don't think I would lug this motherfucker around with me if I was doing this from whatever place that was convenient just to get it out there. So it is understandable that the video quality, the lighting isn't the best. He's working with what he's got on the road, and you do need to limit all the fucking shit you have on your bag. This son of a bitch light here isn't as necessary as your tights and boots and so on and so forth.
And then we do a live show usually once a month. We have a live show actually July 1st, which is next Thursday, Canada Day. So if you want to come check us out, we'll be there.
Thank you, Electrify. See, like telling people to like and subscribe works more than just. I love when Red Letter Media did it. That's kind of what I'm basing my shill segment on. Is when they hit you with a fucking hammer with like, subscribe. They don't do it often, but they hit you with a hammer and get out the megaphone. And glad to see Electrify's new show highlighting music videos over on the Hack Ride channel. I like the concept. I missed the first broadcast live. I hope to be in joining you live and be in the chat for another episode where Electrify is presenting music videos.
There as well. And basically what I wanted to do was kind of do a little bit of a celebration for Jericho 30. This is the book right here that you guys heard about it probably back in October, maybe it was. And this is the book that I put together that has every single match I've ever had in it. And if you can see, great cover by Abdul Malik from Saudi Arabia.
Don't do it. Don't fucking do it, Jericho. I'm going to skip ahead. I swear to God, if you are reading off fucking matches again.
Sold thousands of books and basically you had money in your pocket. And
he's got to be using the microphone from his computer as well. Once again, forgivable, being on the road and having actually, he might be on the road with Fozzy. It is funny how much Jericho is delusional about Fozzy and the fact that he's decent enough singer, but he thinks he is fucking great. And he likes to put over that he did a show in front of more fans than the Beatles ever did, than the Rolling Stones ever did, with the crowd that was at Wembley Stadium. Those big nerds know why I pronounce it Wembley. But that crowd at Wembley came for the AEW show, not the Fozzy show. Fozzy just performed a song there at Wembley.
And you didn't want to go with it, so screw it. We'll do it ourselves, because that's what the Friends of Jericho do. And that's always been my mission. If you don't want to go with me, then I'll do it myself. I had an idea for a project this week, and I told my manager, I was like, dude, here's the idea. I know it's going to work. So let's find people who agree with that. And I don't want to hear from the guys who say it won't work. It's not going to be a good idea, because it is a good idea. And
Here we go, Jericho. If it comes out of my head, it's a good idea. You need to ask, what if? If you don't like the idea, if you want to add on to the idea, what if is your standard, how about we shine this up, or how about we change this completely? And that is why the fake actors just completely fell apart. That was the comedy troupe that I began with a fellow who at some point put his head too far up his ass, and we could not get a fucking thing done once we moved to Los Angeles. The goal was move to Los Angeles, make some sketches, but everything that came out of his head, gold. Everything that came out of my and the third person in the fake actor's head, that's not funny. I know what funny is. Well, you don't need us. When I started writing scripts again, I wanted to include him because he is someone good to bounce ideas off of when his head wasn't shoved so far up his fucking ass. But at some point it was like, okay, we've got these ideas. We want Dave's input on it. How do we make Dave think that these were his ideas so he just doesn't kill it outright? How about we just not invite Dave?
It is going to work, so let's make it happen. That's what I did right here with the complete list of Jericho. And don't forget, if you order it during the course of this show, we'll probably go in about an hour or so, as we usually do, I will personally sign it to you. So this is a one-time only thing. I just thought it'd be a fun thing to do. At first, I was going to give away a few signed copies, and I thought, well, let's just do everybody on the show today.
I do need to make sure that I'm making this accessible to audio listeners. That's one of my goals for this year, is to get an audio-only format. I need to branch out. I was just flashing the shill segment logo once again as Jericho was shilling his book. So let's jump again. Can you get on to another subject?
They're just fighting each other, trying to get to this nightstick, and then you kind of brush it with your face, like Indiana Jones trying to get the poison at the beginning of Temple of Doom, where like it just goes off of his.
He wasn't trying to get the poison. The poison darts shot out at him after he got the amulet, and then Alfred Molina, I give you the whip, you give me the amulet. Other way around, reverse that. You give me the amulet, I give you the whip. and of course,
fingertips,
the big old
and rolls
boulder.
away. So that's what we kind of had to do with the nightstick. So it was just a disaster for my first WWE match. And of course, I win. I hit the big last time with the nightstick, and I'm the big hero. Yeah. But it was just pretty funny, the fact that like it kind of was foreshadowing the first 6 months of my career in WWE, because it was.
Luckily, it was just a 4 shadow, not a 5 shadow. If it was 5 shadow, then your career in WWE would have been a lot more shitty. But luckily, it was just foreshadowings. First appearance by Chip Chipperson, and that is a crutch that I need to only use as a casual reference and not a crutch. So, Chipperson, you are banned from the next 3 episodes.
It was just kind of a whole mess. But we got through it, and it was great. So thank you. Janelyn Higgs says, just ordered your book. I waited till tonight. Awesome. Well, you will get an autographed copy of this book. Don't forget, if you buy the book during the course of this show, I will personally
buy my book. Buy my book. Buy my book. There are just so many Simpsons and Critic clips that I think in the moment, oh, I wish I had that. I haven't updated my clips in quite a while. I do need to diversify those.
and sign it for you. Thank you, Chris. Make sure you check in once in a while with the.
Well, not clips; they're drops. We call them drops here in the. It's a radio term. Paying the bills. That's a radio term.
Saturday special. Well, that's
drops
what I did.
are a radio
tonight.
term.
So thank you, William Reeves. Is there anyone you never wrestled that you wanted to? Hearts. I never wrestled a Heart ever. I mean, not. Generational Hearts. Davey Boy had a few, or Davey Jr. had a few matches with, and that sort of.
Oh, and what's that current Heart that's still out there that they had that documentary on over, I believe, on Peacock, who's really into cats, and juggling cats was part of his gimmick until people were like, that's kind of cruel to the cats, and he had to knock it off. Teddy Hart. No one wants to wrestle Teddy Hart. As naturally talented as he is a crazy person.
Sort of thing, but never
in a world of crazy people that is wrestling. Teddy Hart is a crazy person.
Wrestled Brett, never wrestled Owen, never wrestled Keith, never wrestled Bruce.
Owen.
Obviously, Owen and Brett are the ones. I mean, I think when I joined WWE in 1999, August of 99, as you saw, Owen passed away in May. But when I was making my decision before he passed away, if I would have had a top 10 list of reasons why I wanted to go to WWE, wrestling Owen Hart would have been one of them. So that would have been great. And of course, wrestling with Brett as well. So I never had a match with
Owen Hart. Definitely would have been the world champion when they had 2 of the titles there in the early aughts.
Either of those guys. And I think that would have been amazing. And I also would have loved to have wrestled with Undertaker more at a WrestleMania. Mr. Joshi says, India match in the book. Every match I've ever had is in this book. I could look it up, but it would take a while. Okay, Chris Anand says, match number 420. Oh, I get it.
Oh, motherfucker. This is the same goddamn gimmick. You son of a bitch.
You're smoking a little bit of Grandpa's plants in the back there, are you?
He's doing Stu Hart impression there. That's one, another like Wimberly. You big fucking nerds that are on my level don't even need an explanation.
Chris Hanan, match number 4.
And those weren't me struggling to do the impression thinking of things. That is part of the impression.
420 was against Rob Van Dam. No, I'm kidding. It might be. I don't know. Hold on. 420, March 19th, 1995, Mexico City, a 6-man. With my partners Mil Mascaras and Rayo de Jalisco Jr. versus Dr. Wagner Jr., El Satanico, and Peroth Jr. I pinned Wagner with a crucifix. There was 3,000 people in the crowd. And
a crucifix is a better pin than the small package and roll-up. It's more of an official, pretty-looking pinning maneuver. But what was that? El Satanico. He would have been more proper for your match 666, but he was your getting high match, man.
For the early days, I kept a list of my payoffs, and my payoff that night was $193. So there you go. U.S.
Chris Jericho really enjoys talking about himself. He does not have people to tell him when he has a bad idea anymore, because actually there was a story of November after AEW had debuted on television in October, where he kind of tried to be the locker room leader and say, all right, guys, we need to have actual rules to our matches. We need to adhere to things. Our honeymoon period is over. But it does seem like the executive vice president, Young Bucks, pulled him aside and said, hey, Jericho, you like being a cool kid? We're the coolest kids. If you want to keep being a cool kid, you better shut the fuck up. So they kept smelling their farts. They told him to go over in the corner and smell his farts. Tony Khan smells his farts and ran a young girl off the internet. So good for you, bully Tony Khan.
So I made $193 that night in Mexico City. I'm not sure what arena it is, but if the crowd was only 400, it's not Arena Mexico. It's one of the smaller ones. So this is hot.
Okay, let's leap again. We're going to stick with this for about another 5 minutes or so, and then get to our closing segments, maybe 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes more of sticking with Chris Jericho, our host for the day, learning all about Chris Jericho and him getting in a nice big old shill segment for his book, The List of Jericho, a list of his matches, and he has people like Alex Marvez and Excalibur, whose opinions I give no shits about, even as a big fucking nerd, talking about stuff in that book with little sections of their own.
I was taking out chicks. I was the king of the castle, man.
You were taking out chicks. Well, you didn't sign the NDA. It was the chicks that signed the NDA. So yeah, Jericho can talk about it. It's just the chicks who can't.
$50,000 a year. You know, and keep this in mind. Am I frozen? Did I freeze on you guys here? Hopefully I come back.
He thinks he's frozen. Just let it go, Jericho. Let it go. I won't even bring out the rim shot for that. I will just sit in silence for that shitty joke. 3 smart fellas. They felt smart, G-Rob. Indeed.
Hello, 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 hello. Oh, am I back? Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there.
I just reminded myself of an acting exercise with that sit in solemn silence in a dull, dark dock. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather. Unique New York.
I don't know what you heard, didn't hear, but I was balling at $50,000 a year. So that was big money to you. And then it continued to go further and further and further. So which match was your undisputed title win where you beat Rock and Austin the same night and tried to get a pizza to your room in celebration? Yeah.
Okay, he's got a bookmark on this one. This is one which actually does work for his character, that his character never fucking stopped talking about.
Thanks to Regis J. O'Rourke, he fucked me on that.
That character, much closer to the real Jericho than we thought. I think I mentioned up front that Jericho on Christmas had a big Twitter meltdown. This is 2 Christmases in a row that Chris Jericho had a big Twitter meltdown. It makes me think that when you go home for an extended period of time, things aren't very smooth when you're drinking and have a big Twitter meltdown on Christmas at 4 a.m. 2 years running. Let's see if you make it 3 in a row in 2024 for a Christmas meltdown at 4 in the morning.
Let me just see. I can probably find that. I know, when was that? December of 2001? Yeah, it wasn't December 2002, December 2001. Okay, so here we go. I can find this for you.
Oh, good for you.
He can find it. Good for him.
Oh, I got it. Look at this right here. Okay, my match. So the first one was December 9th, match number 1,382. And I think that's the subtitle of my second undisputed, how to become world champion in 1,382 matches, because that's the first time we became world champion, right? So that's when I beat The Rock.
Clever enough title. Points.
For the WCW title with the Rock Bottom. I gave that one 3.5 stars. And then right after that, match number 1,383 is when I beat Steve Austin and unified the WWE and WCW titles into the Undisputed Championship. And that was due to a Booker T belt shot, and I gave that one 3 stars. So that was
followed by a roll-up, probably into the walls of Jericho. No, you had some sort of striking finish. Steve Austin would really not want to give you a submission win on that one, as much pull as he had. And just having another pass-out win like that would actually detract from that big Bret Austin match in WrestleMania, number 13?
I was pretty harsh on myself.
And a little note for wrestling nerds. Jericho was the dark horse that night. I was a Kurt Angle guy. I wanted to see Kurt Angle be the guy at that point. It was a big unification of 2 world titles. Jericho, Kurt Angle, Rock, Steve Austin. And I was a Kurt Angle guy wanting to see him come out on top. And I forget who it was going to be, but Vince McMahon, in a knee-jerk Vince McMahon decision, no one would see Jericho coming out on top. You're right. Let's go with Jericho. And then he kind of flopped in that title reign.
For those. Hope you guys are having a good time. It looks like, because the numbers here are going through the roof. What is, oh my gosh, how many matches have you had in total? Well, like I said, at the end of this, which was October 7th, 2020, I was at 2,722. And I don't know how many.
We know. That's a Jim Norton drop I would like to get. It's not on anywhere. Just I've got to just search Opie and Anthony episodes, because there's no "we know" when I typed in "we know" into YouTube looking for that specific Jim Norton drop.
And we are very good at telling stories. Well, your book.
Oh, you're talking about In the Ring. Yes. For a long time, you were really good at telling stories until your head got too far up your ass. And now I give no shits as of March, April 2020.
Book have your other names.
And yeah, as I said earlier, he was on the run of his lifetime. I was actually a big fan and into what All Elite Wrestling was doing. And then, I stopped watching the AEW show in December after only 2-3 months on air, because they drove me off. And then just sparsely checking in once Jericho did that Demo God thing. It's like, nope, your run of a lifetime. It is a stock market plunge.
Names like YGJ Line. Of course, this is part of my. Oh, it's Walter. Are you puking, Walter? Walter always likes to have a couple drinks on the Saturday special and enjoys himself, which is great.
Gold.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. I might have used my top 10 nicknames in there somewhere, but of course, all that stuff fits.
I might have my top 10 nicknames in there. Sounds like a ghostwriter. That's something that Mick Foley was very proud. He did not use a ghostwriter. That's really what kicked the wrestling book industry off, was Mick Foley's Have a Nice Day. And The Rock came shortly after that. He had a ghostwriter. And then Foley, I remember him doing an appearance on The Daily Show, plugging his book, Countdown to Lockdown. I believe that was his 4th memoir, and it was selling so poorly. Foley couldn't... He had to point out, I thought fans would want a 4th memoir from me. Boy, was I wrong. And he made a joke, something along the lines of, and I got the upfront money for the book. Initially I thought there would be more after that, but it doesn't look like that'll be the case. And I do believe this is the 3rd of Jericho's books. I have not stuck with it. I did read the first Foley book and the Rock book. Oh, I got to read Brett's book. Bret Hart. There is a Reddit account of Bret Hart. I think he does comments. I don't think he puts up original posts. He just comments on mundane things in the fashion that Bret Hart does. And he has turned into a surly man. I was a Bret Hart guy then. I'm a Bret Hart guy now.
Fits in with my career. Do you think Judas Sing-Along will go down in all wrestling history? I think so, Kyle. I really do. It's given Judas a whole new life. And as a result, I said this a couple times, within the next 6 months, due to streams and sales, and streams now count as sales, Judas the single is probably going to go gold, which in this day and age, that's 500,000 units sold. So for anybody,
that's what it's been forever.
To get that is huge. But for Fozzy to get it, it's going to be another just crowning achievement. So
Kermit never got that. Bunsen Honeydew never got that.
Thank you for streaming it. Please keep doing that. And if you buy it, thanks for that too. If you buy it on iTunes, if anyone even does that anymore,
I haven't
streams count as well. So listen to it as much as you can.
I was really buying your shit in 2019. Boy, did your career slip on a banana peel and get into a small package?
That would be great for us. Dano, I just talked about this. When we can expect the audio version, it's hard. I would be sitting there for fucking 20 hours and you'd be probably bored from it. So that's the spirit. Chris Cabriglione, I just ordered a second copy. Did you see the picture from High Spots from Double or Nothing? I don't know if I did see the picture. See you in Jolly.
Elektra being a pirate. Obviously not a fan of Fozzie's bigger catalog, but that Judas song is a really solid. It does sound like 80s type of song that fits very well for the former Stuck Mojo. Chris Benoit definitely missed out on a lot of booms in wrestling. Tee-hee.
Take a damn shot, you fuck. Come on, man. These guys here, at least, who I think has been to maybe the most Fozzy shows.
I do love a good Chris Benoit joke. Thank you, Dayla, for getting in a solid Chris Benoit joke. Let's leap a little bit here towards the end. We are going to get to the last segment of the show. Any parting words for the main segment, Mr. Jericho?
These questions go by fast. I told you.
Any parting words without some DMCA music, Mr. Jericho?
We'll do our best.
Nope. Still got the Saturday night special with you doing a so-so cover. Oh, that was one of the Twitter feuds he got on with Sebastian Bach, who called his singing fucking awful. And as much of a goofball as Sebastian Bach is, he is a great singer.
I don't think so. I would say probably Ultimo Dragon is one of them because I worked with him so much. Benoit was quite a few times.
Woo! Benoit's over in here in these comments. Benoit's over by Jericho. Skull drinking for a double Benoit.
How do I get your book?
A double Benoit. That's what Benoit did to his family. Hey-o.
If I order from Scribe tonight, you will still sign. Yes. That if you order from Jericho30.com, I will sign the book tonight. And that's where you get it through the person that asked me, where do you get the book? Right there. Oh my gosh, this is going by so far.
Okay, so yeah, let's just call that. Oh look, there's a Dillon who spells it the proper way. Dyllan is also acceptable. Dillon is fucking wrong. So other Dillon, I will let you get the final word in on the main segment here.
Or what was match 204? Favorite memory in Halifax, Nova Scotia? I think Hurricane his story was about Halifax, Nova Scotia, right there. Conan was on fire on the mic tonight. It was great to see him. He did get pretty rocked by that pile driver, but Conan will be back, I'm pretty sure. He's what a great promo.
He'll be back. Well, we're going to move on to the next segment of the show. That is enough of Chris Jericho. And usually at this time, I go over to TikTok, but I am going to go over to YouTube for some fun puppetry being perpetrated by Toonie Town Wrestling. They are pretty new. Almost got their 500 subscriber minimum to be monetized. They're doing some fun things with puppets. So let's check out a little bit of Toonie Town Wrestling with their Judas parody song to Jericho. And then I think we'll get in a little bit of Tony the Snowman before visiting Miss Size Doesn't Matter the Clown. So take it away, you puppet bastard, you.
Embraced by the neckbeards, I show up to fight and kill ratings on Dynamite. What have I become? I used to be so great. I got really old and then refused to go away. Now Tony is a slave.
I love his Tony Khan puppet. It doesn't really not the best for Adderall, but just for out of his fucking mind, because Tony Khan does not take criticism well. He gets very angry and he lets you know by accident what bothers him, and he gets into Twitter feuds. That's what people have been saying when he's doing his job in what's known as the gorilla position, the right there behind the curtain to the entranceway position. He's there on Twitter, and he believes that is the best use of his time, is to be on Twitter in real time interacting with people instead of focusing on the task at hand.
Ideas in my mind. Is there someone left for me to beat on the roster Wednesday night Dynamite?
That was Swerve Strickland, and I get all my AEW news from Jim Cornette now. I could listen to Jim Cornette read the phone book, and he talks about Swerve Strickland being one of the hottest things on AEW. So that does mean, by the formula of AEW, Jericho is going to try to vampire some of that popularity away and just really remove some of Swerve's popularity. So hopefully that does not happen.
I become Hulk Hogan with a body like Seth Rogen. Relevant, only in my mind. Do you like my new persona? I stole it all from Matt Cardona. Relevant, only in my mind.
That was a little bit of a clip from his from the Judas parody. And you can check out more of that at Tooneytown Wrestling. And we're going to get in some shots that he was taking now at Tony Khan with his Tony the Snowman song, proper for the holidays, which we just passed by.
Tony the Snowman was a monkey wealthy soul.
Once again, it's most likely Adderall, not Coke. But Coke does work for the gag of something is up with that non-blinking motherfucker for an hour straight at those press conferences.
With a football team and a book and dream and a nose that's full of blow, Tony the Snowman owns a wrestling company. It's called AE-Dubs, and it features schlubs who look just like you and me.
Oh, one of those schlubs, Eddie Kingston.
Dubs, and it features schlubs who...
Yeah, that schlub, Eddie Kingston, is a great example of one of the many lost opportunities. He's now getting a push in the company 2 fucking years too late. Once Tony Khan writes something down in his notebook, it's very important. He did switch from vertical to horizontal, or the other way around, whatever it was fucking hilarious when he went into detail of, now I'm much more organized. I went from vertical to horizontal. But once he has an idea, Eddie Kingston 2 years ago was catching fire. He did not take advantage of it. He let Chris Jericho popularity vampire him, and now trying to kickstart that lightning in a bottle again. And good luck with that. Same with Mark Briscoe earlier this year. Mark Briscoe could have been lightning in a bottle after he had lots of fan sympathy from his brother dying in a car accident. Could have been the headliner of that one pay-per-view that Tony Khan already had it written down horizontally in his notebook, that it was going to be the 4 pillars, the guys who we said years ago were going to be the top stars one day. But it was already in his notebook that it was going to be a 4-way. That lightning in a bottle that was Mark Briscoe, it wasn't written in my notebook, so we're not going to do it.
Who look just like you and me. He cuts promos on all his shows, though they all tend to flop. He loves making huge announcements, and you'll never make him stop. Tony the Snowman.
That was a little clip from Tony the Snowman and the Judas parody, which, as Electra pointed out, and I've said, is a solid song. It is a fun throwback to hairband rock, is Judas from the band Fozzy. The rest of their catalog, easily skippable. Maybe there is a diamond in the rough, but thank you, Tooneytown Wrestling, for purchasing these puppets. And he is obviously a Jim Cornette fan. If you go to his channel, you will see more of very in references of Jim Cornette's shitting on the All Elite Wrestling crew. And now we will go to what we always go to take us out. Not a cut off of Sting's album. That might be a regular joke that I make. That Bill O'Reilly meltdown has never left my mind. Just take us out. What does that mean? So replacing a cut from Sting's album is a returning lady clown, Miss Size Doesn't Matter, the clown, and she is one of my more favorites because she does do her own material. There are a lot of lady clowns that just do the lip syncing. That's very popular on TikTok, to just take a popular sound and lip sync to it. But Miss Size Doesn't Matter, the clown here, she is throwing her hat in the ring for a Doritos contest that was happening at the time that she made this video.
Doritos are the sharpest, crunchiest, pointiest chip with edges.
Miss Size Doesn't Matter, the clown, very accurate in those being the crunchiest chips around. Those chips cut her mouth and she spit out some blood, but they are delicious enough to make up for that bloody mouth that happens with the sharpest chips around. They maybe not use the sharpest cheddar around Doritos. That would be my recommendation. Miss Size Doesn't Matter, the clown. They are a bit sharp for her mouth, and she did spit out some blood. And Spurg Snake has had a similar type of reaction. The corners hurt, but damn, does that nacho cheese taste very good. And while we're on the clown subject, I do have I brought up a joke right as I was about to get a little serious. That was not Meth Mouth on Miss Size Doesn't Matter, the clown. It was Doritos Mouth on Miss Size Doesn't Matter, the clown. So yeah, I did say I wanted to get a little serious while we were in clown talk. Back in Maryland, the first version of the fake actors was expanded. Like I came up with the name when someone called me a real actor after doing my first play. And we expanded that to more of the comedy community around Maryland, and then disbanded it as we went to Los Angeles. And then Dave got his head shoved up his ass, and we disbanded pretty quickly after moving to Los Angeles. But Jeremy Woodworth he makes me just look slightly peculiar, a very odd fucking fellow in the comedy community in the Baltimore area. He was a big person on the scene of different conventions, and Pogo the Clown was, and you hear me saying past tense, he passed away over the holidays. I just want to say thank you for being such an odd fuck, Jeremy, on the circuit. He would regularly go to conventions. He did make an appearance in at least one movie as a scary clown. Carrie Elways was actually one of the celebrities in the Celebrity Zoo, and gave Jeremy a talking down to about how tasteless his Pogo the Clown persona was. Yeah, Jeremy very regularly going on the circuit. Thank you for being a force of fucking oddness in the Baltimore comedy community, and continuing that as I took my bags and moved across the country. His brother Eric Woodworth is still coming up in the community, is heard as one of the fill-ins on 98 Rock Baltimore's morning show. So condolences to the Woodworth family. Best wishes to Eric Woodworth. It was great knowing you, you weird bastard, you. I enjoyed our time together. So that was a little somber note that we're ending on. Just wanted to throw out that a friend passed, and he was on the clown car before I was on the clown car. It wasn't until 2015 till I put on my makeup and started getting in the clown car, and he was doing that shit long before I ever thought about getting in the clown car. So that was the episode for today. Look up Eric Woodworth. He may have a GoFundMe for his brother's services. Very funny guy in the area. Bussy, Tommy Simbazo, another very funny guy on the Baltimore comedy circuit. To me, one of the funniest guy when I was on the scene in the local Baltimore comedy scene was Tommy Simbazo. And Tommy Simbazo and Eric Woodworth are together as the group Bussy, doing more odd stuff. They do murder mysteries over at Magoobies. The owner of Magoobies fucking hated my comedy styles. They had a regular monthly open mic showcase. I never made it to the finals, and a few times the host would say, I liked what you were doing. I was voting for you to get to the finals, and I never made it to the finals of the night of the new comic showcase at Magoobies. The owner hated my style. I think I might start doing that again. I haven't done stand-up comedy for a while. And still, when I go to do stand-up comedy, I don't plan on doing stand-up. I want to do my tight 1-minute kind of performance art shit. It used to be my opener, but it's the inverse, as I've said before, of when I would do my celebrity rants. I love doing celebrity rants. I mean, I have these on my soundboard, and they're never leaving.
It's the second time that he doesn't give a fuck.
And that would take the entire 5 minutes. Open mics are often 5 minutes. Seeing the audience realize, oh, this is the whole thing.
Leave me the fuck alone.
Lily Tomlin's another favorite one that I would do. And the hi. This is Barry White, another one of my favorites to do. That was about 3.5 minutes of the 5-minute set, doing the hi. This is Barry White flip out, which I know a lot of you are radio fans and are familiar with the hi. This is Barry White flip out. If you're not, it's fucking fantastic. I'm sure it'll come right up if you type into the search engine, hi, this is Barry White, and his flip out of trying to read that fucking copy that he has so much problems with. That's all for today. We're going to pare it down to 3 days a week. And once I get a regular job, we will find a new time slot in the day, so I am not directly competing with Patrick Melton. I will yield to the larger podcaster, the larger streamer, and we're going to do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern for now. And once I get a job, we will move somewhere else around the clock out of Melton's way. I imagine later in the day I could do the morning. I would rather not do the morning. I believe he comes on at 9, so I could do 7:38. I prefer to do later rather than earlier. But yeah, I do yield to Patrick Melton and Spurg Snake calling to take the onion down. I will yield to him now. We will revisit that thought another day, Spurg Snake, but not today. Today, we are signing off. Thank you for joining. Now, feel free to go away.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you for going on this adventure with me. It's fun being with friends. I'll see you next time. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.
Places all join hands, circle left. Now circle right and listen to me. LSMFT. Elementary corners like swinging on a gate. To right to your honey with the right to left date. Grand right and left around you go. Lucky strike means fine tobacco. Meet your honey and give her a whirl. All swing around with the little girls. Smoke 'em, then you'll see. LSMFT. Promenade and don't you fall. Promenade around the hall. Lucky strike is first again with tobacco men. Promenade straight down the pike. It's time right now for a lucky strike. Yes, for smoking that you're bound to like, you just can't beat a lucky strike.